Hey guys, welcome to the 5th C programming tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to get input from the user. So the first thing that we're going to do right here is just create an integer variable to store the number that the user enters. So I'm just going to say int num equals 0. Then what I'm going to do is just print out onto the screen, please enter a number, so that the user knows they need to enter a number. So I'm just going to say printf, and then inside of here I'm just going to do two quotes, and then inside of these quotes I'm just going to write please enter a number, and then put a colon. This way the user will be able to type right after this colon right here. And then what I need to do is just say scanf, and this scanf will allow us to read whatever the user types in. So then I'm going to put two quotes, and then inside of here I need to do %i, since we're reading an integer variable from the console. And then what I need to do is do a comma, and then do the and symbol, and then the name of the variable that I want it to read this number into. So we're going to have it read it into this num variable right here. And I'm going to actually explain why we need this and symbol later on, but all you need to know right now is whenever you're using this scanf for reading from the console, you need to have this and symbol or ampersand right before the name of your variable. Alright, and then right after the user enters this number, we're just going to have it print it right back out. So we're going to say printf, and then %i, since we're going to be printing out an integer, and then just the name of our variable. We don't need an ampersand when we're printing. We do need the ampersand when we're reading. Alright, so let's just go ahead and run this. So it just asks us to enter a number. I'm going to go ahead and enter in 5, click enter, and then as you can see it has printed out 5 right back at me. Then I'm going to go ahead and run it again. This time I'll enter 3, and we see we get 3 right back out. Alright, now let's go ahead and make this a little bit more interesting. Let's have the user enter 2 numbers and then just add those 2 numbers together. So what I'm going to do right here is just copy this code and then go ahead and paste it right underneath. Alright, and then I'm going to call this num2, and I'm going to say please enter a second number, and then I'm going to read this into num2, and then instead of just printing out num, I'm going to print out num plus num2. So I'm going to say num plus num2. So now what it will do is it will ask the user for 2 numbers, and then it will just print out the sum of those 2 numbers that the user enters. So let's just go ahead and run this now and make sure that it works. So it says please enter a number, I'll enter 5, please enter a second number, I'll enter 8, and we should get 13. Yep, perfect. Now let's just go ahead and run this again and try 2 different numbers to make sure that it works. I'll try 9 and 6, we should get 15. Yep, perfect. Alright, now let's go ahead and try to read floats from the console. So let's go ahead and change this type to float, change this type to float, and we need to change this from an I to an F, since we are printing and reading floats. So let's just go ahead and run this again, and now we should be able to enter numbers that have decimal points in them. So let's go ahead and try and add 9.3 to 7.2. Perfect, we got 16.500000. And remember, if we ever want to format this at all, what we can do is just do a period right here, and then the number of digits that will appear after the decimal place. I'm just going to go ahead and set it to 2. That seems pretty standard. So now when I run this and add 2 numbers together, I can add 6.2 and 8.2, and we should get 14.4. Yep, perfect. And as you can see, there's only 2 digits after this decimal place right there. Alright, now let's just go ahead and read a character from the console for practice. So I'm just going to create a character variable up here. I'm going to call it C, and I'm just going to go ahead and set it equal to A defaultly. Or what you can do is just not set it equal to anything at all, and then it will only be set equal to whatever the user enters. So now what I'm going to do is just print out asking the user for a character. So I'm going to say please enter a character, and then we're just going to read that character that the user enters. So we're going to say scanf, and then we just need to do 2 quotes, and inside of these quotes we need to do %C since we're reading a character from the console. And then remember, we need to do the and symbol and then the name of our character, and I named my character C. Alright, and just don't forget that and symbol. Alright, so now I'm just going to go ahead and print out the character that the user enters. So I need to do %C once again since I'm printing out a character, and then I named my variable C up here, so I'm just going to print out C. Alright, now let's just go ahead and run this program. It says please enter a character. I'll enter D, hit enter, and it just printed D right back at me. Now I'll run this again, and I'll type in W, hit enter, and we get W right back at us. Alright, so that's pretty much it for this tutorial, so see you guys.